Hey, it's Kobra here at MaddenGuides.com. We're going to take a look at 5 defenses out of the dime 1-4 double mug that bring a lot of pressure on the quarterback. And the nice thing about these setups I'm showing, it doesn't require a whole lot of pre-snap adjustments, just basically getting right to the quarterback pretty quick. Before we actually take a look at the 5 different defenses and the various blitz setups that you can get out of the dime 1-4 double mug, I want to take a look at the formation briefly. And with this particular formation, the first thing that comes to my mind when I look at it, it says 1-4 double mug. Now that 1 would indicate there being just one defensive lineman. In this case, with this particular formation, at least out of the Vikings depth chart, what it ends up putting here, as you look at it, you end up actually having 3 defensive linemen along the line of scrimmage here. So as you look at it here, you have these 3 right here. So that would indicate to me it's going to be a 3 defensive linemen. And then you have these 2 guys right here, what are the 2 linebackers, which makes it to me a 3-2 double mug rather than a 1-4 double mug out of the dime formation. I just wanted to point that out to you. The other thing of significance is going to be this safety here who's actually lined up in the A gap down on the line of scrimmage in between the center and the right guard. So what he's going to do is he's going to replace one of the linebackers, at least that's what I would think. And what that means is this is going to be the strong safety 2 there lined up there. So I want to point that out to you. So he's got a little bit more speed than most linebackers. Now, if you got a faster linebacker there, you may want to leave him in and put him in there. I just want to point that out here with this particular formation. Let's go ahead and take a look at the defensive playbooks. You can find this one out of, which is just 2 playbooks, which is going to be the Seattle Seahawks and the Minnesota Vikings. The dime 1-4 double mug buck zone blitz is a defense that brings 5 defenders after the quarterback. The problem with this one, unless you make some type of pre-snap adjustments, you're generally not going to get any type of pressure on the quarterback unless they do some kind of shed block, such as you see on your screen. However, there's some things you can do with some hot routes that'll make this defense a little more effective. The first blitz setup that I want to show out the dime 1-4 double mug buck zone blitz is going to bring some inside heat from this linebacker who's lined up right here as you look at your screen here. Now this one's real simple to do. All you're going to do is take control of him and move him about 4 or 5 yards off the line of scrimmage, such as what you see on your screen. Then next you want to switch over to this defender here. Now this actually happens to be the strong safety 2. And what you're going to do with him is you're going to re-hot route him to blitz. Now the idea of this is to get that A-gap pressure coming from that linebacker right there. Will shoot between the left guard and left tackle and apply that pressure. Let's go ahead and run this. Now the one thing you do have to do once that ball is snapped, you do want to let him engage that center, and then you want to drop that guy back, and then you should get that type of pressure. Now another way to run this, basically it's the exact same setup, would be just to do QB contain, take control of this guy right here. You're going to drop him back 4 or 5 yards, and then you're simply just going to switch off to that guy right there and do the same blitz. This time now you got QB contain, slide him over, and you'll get that same type of pressure on the quarterback. Just try to drop him back into coverage if you can. But right there, you can see right there. Now, obviously, there's going to be some holes as you see on your screen, but another way of setting this defense up to bring some pressure on the quarterback. Now, let's take a look at another blitz setup that you can run. The second blitz setup that I want to show out, the dime 1-4 double mug buck zone blitz, is another one that's going to bring some pressure, but this time it's going to come from this defensive end here, which happens to be the left end as you look at your screen. So what he'll do is he'll actually come off the edge and he'll apply this pressure on the quarterback. Now to set this one up, what you're going to do is you're going to take control of the strong safety 2, which is the guy that's in this A-gap right here as you look at it. And what you want to do with him is you want to blitz him. So let's go ahead and blitz him. And then you're going to switch off to this defender right here, which is a linebacker. And what you're going to do with him, you can put him whatever coverage you want. I'm going to put him in a mid-read. That's really up to you, whatever one you want to do. And I'm going to stay in control of him and simply just go ahead and user him. And then you'll see that we'll get that edge off the edge right there. So we still get a nice pass rush, but we drop another guy back in the pass coverage. So again, if you want to do another way, you can do the QB contain and do the same thing I just talked about. Go ahead and re-hot route this guy to blitz, switch back over to this guy right here and put him into a mid-read, and you're still going to get that pressure. This time you just got guys in QB contain. So that's really it on that one. Now, if you want to make this just a 4-man pass rush, you can do it like this. It's basically the same setup I just showed with the second setup, and that would be, again, to take control of this guy right here. You're going to re-hot route him to blitz. You're going to switch over to this guy right here, put him into a mid-read. And then this one here, you can do whatever you want with him. I'm going to put him into a hard flat, and then I'm going to switch back to that defender I put into a mid-read. And then again, you're going to get that edge pressure coming off from that defensive end, coming off from the right side of the offensive line. The dime 1-4 double mug hot blitz 3 is going to bring pressure on the quarterback regardless if you make any type of pre-snap adjustments, just because simply you got a 6-man pass rush. And the way it's set up by design is actually going to come from this guy right here. The only thing I will say about this particular defense is this guy right here, this defensive end, what he's going to do is when he rushes, he's not going to go in this direction here. Instead, he's going to loop all the way around and try to come after the quarterback. And I'm not a big fan of that, but let's go ahead and look at it, and I'm going to show you some different adjustments you can make to make this one even more effective. But here we go with it without making any pre-snap adjustments, and you can see it comes from that left end off the right side of the offensive line. The first blitz that I want to show out of the dime 1-4 double mug hot blitz 3 is one that's going to bring some pressure coming from this defensive end off the right side of the offensive line. Really all you need to do to set this one up is to take control of this defensive end right here. And what you're going to do here is you're going to put him into a bluff blitz, such as you see on your screen. And then at that point, you can stay in control of him, and then you're going to get that edge pressure coming off the right side of the offensive line. You just want to simply drop that guy back into pass coverage, and you'll get that type of pressure. The second blitz setup that I want to show out of the dime 1-4 double mug hot blitz 3 is going to bring that same type of pressure coming from this defensive end here, coming off the edge, off the right side of the offensive line. Rather than taking control of this guy, which is one I talked about earlier, and putting him into a 3-receiver hook or a bluff blitz, if you will, what you can do right here is take control of the guy to the inside of him, and then you can go ahead and put him in, say, a mid-read. I'll just put him in a mid-read right now, and I'll stay in control of him. It's kind of the same idea as you look at it. You're still going to get that edge pressure. You're just switching off to a different defender, and you're still going to get that pressure coming off the edge on the right side of the offensive line. The third blitz setup that I want to show out, the dime 1-4 double mug hot blitz 3, is a defense that's going to bring some A-gap pressure coming from the strong safety 2 who's lined up on the line of scrimmage. So what you're going to do here is you're going to take control of him, drop him back about 4 to 5 yards, and then switch off to another defender. In this case, I'm just going to switch off to that strong safeties, look at it, and you should end up getting some A-gap pressure right there. Now, that's a 6-man pass rush, and some of you are probably not going to want to do that. You can turn this into a 5-man pass rush with basically the same setup, just one more adjustment. So again, you're going to take control of this guy right here, and then you're going to move over to this one right here, which is this defensive end, and what you're going to do here is you're going to put him into a bluff blitz, and you should still get that same type of pressure. Here, I'll switch off to the strong safety again and see if that linebacker shoots through, and there he goes. He goes right through the A-gap between the center and the right guard. So that's another way of running that one. So those are the 3 blitz setups that you can run out of the dime 1-4 double mug hot blitz 3. The dime 1-4 double mug mid blitz is another defense that can bring some pressure on a quarterback from different angles depending on how you want to do it. Now, to be quite honest with you, this is basically the twin of the hot blitz 3. The only difference is that one's a zone, whereas this one here is a man. So you can pretty much do the exact same things I did on the hot blitz 3 to get the same type of pressure with this particular defense. This one, without making any pre-snap adjustments, is going to come from this defensive end as you look at your screen here. Let's go ahead and run it and just take a look at it. You'll see what I mean right here. He comes off the edge and applies the pressure on the quarterback. Now I want to show you guys a couple more setups out of this particular defense. This first blitz setup that I want to show out, the dime 1-4 double mug mid blitz, it's pretty simple to do. It's very similar to all the blitz setups that I did with the hot blitz 3. The only difference is, I've already pointed out, this is a man defense versus a zone defense. So what you can do is you can scheme these 2 defenses and basically switch back and forth, one from zone, one to man, and kind of do the same setups and get the same type of pressure. So this one here, the first thing you want to do is you're going to take control of this guy right here. And what you want to do is you want to put him into a bluff blitz. Let's go ahead and put him into a bluff blitz as you look at your screen. Now, if you want to, you can always switch off to the defender that would be covering the running back. In this case, it's this guy right there. As you look at it, that's up to you. And then you can just manually cover the running back yourselves. Now, what you're going to see here with this particular blitz is you're going to get pressure coming off the edge from this guy right here, this defensive end coming off the right side of the offensive line. Let's go ahead and run this, and then you'll see what I mean right there as the pressure comes in. Now, with that said, now if that running back stayed in the pass block, he's probably going to pick up the blitz, which means then at that point, you can take control of this guy right here and just drop him back into pass coverage. That's really up to you. I just want to point that out. So that's the first blitz setup out of the dime 1-4 double mug mid blitz. The second blitz setup out of the dime 1-4 double mug mid blitz you can do here would be to take control of this guy right here, which is going to be the inside linebacker as you look at your screen. And what you want to do with him is you can hot route him to whatever you want. I'm going to put him in a mid read, and then I'm also going to call press man coverage. Then I'm going to switch over to this defender right here. Again, this guy's covering the running back. Now, again, you don't have to switch off to him. You can stay in control of the defender that I just put in the mid read. This guy right here, you can put him in that mid read and stay in control of him if you so choose. But let's go ahead and run it and take a look at it. And you can see right here, we're going to get that edge pressure coming off that edge from that linebacker, or not linebacker, but from that defensive end coming off the right side of the offensive line. Let's look at it one more time, just real quick here. So again, you're going to call press man coverage. Switch over to this guy right here, put him into a mid read or whatever zone coverage you want. Switch over to the free safety and just bring him over if you so choose. And as I said before, you're going to get edge pressure coming from that end right there as you look at your screen. This third blitz setup that I want to show out, the dime 1-4 double mug mid blitz, it's going to bring some A-gap pressure, very similar to the hot blitz 3 that I showed earlier. And what we're looking for here is to get this guy right here to get that pressure on the quarterback. So to set this one up, you're going to take control of him and drop him back about 4 to 5 yards off the line of scrimmage. You can call press man coverage if you so choose, and then take control of the defender that would be covering the running back. In this case, it's going to be this guy right here. And right there, you can see that we're going to end up getting that A-gap pressure. Now, another way of running this would be to do this right here as you look at your screen. You can call QB contain, and it's basically just the same setup that I showed here. You're just going to take control of this guy right here when I'm showing you on your screen here. I'm going to drop him back. I didn't mean to do that right there, but drop him back 4 to 5 yards and switch off to this guy right here and call press man coverage. And again, you're going to, just take control of that free safety, kind of user him, make sure that the running back doesn't get too open there. I didn't really go all the way over, but you can see right there that we end up getting that A-gap pressure coming from that safety there right there as you look at it. So that's another way of running that as far as bringing pressure on the quarterback. Now, for you guys who hadn't had a chance to check this other video breakdown I did with the dime 1-4 mug mid blitz, I showed how to get a manual pass rush coming from this guy right here. I'm not going to do it in a video breakdown. You want to check out the video. But what would happen with this one here is I was able to use the Texas 4-man stunt and get pressure by having this guy rushing to the outside. And then with the Texas 4-man stunt, this guy would come to the inside and bring that pressure through the A-gap. So that might be something worth checking out if you guys haven't already seen it. The dime 1-4 double mug nickel 2 trap can bring some pressure to the quarterback without making any pre-snap adjustments. Now, generally, it's going to come from this guy right here. Now, the one thing I will say about this is sometimes with this particular defense is, depending on where these receivers are lined up, is sometimes they'll run right into him and throw him off. Say this guy was running maybe a streak. He may end up throwing that off where this guy doesn't get this inside pressure. A lot of times he'll come through this A-gap, or excuse me, not A-gap, but the B-gap between the left guard and left tackle and apply the pressure. Or he may come from the outside and then come after the quarterback. It all really depends, but a lot of times that's what's going to happen. Just watch to see if he ends up getting bumped. That may or may not happen. It all depends on what the formation area is. He gets bumped right there, and it throws him off a lot, as you see right there. So that's something that could happen with that. Now, if you want to make sure that doesn't happen, one of the things you can do here is just simply, you could basically just come out here and say you call show blitz. That's going to bring him up a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage. Again, he may still get bumped, but a lot of times it'll just come like that. So that's an easy way to get rid of that. Something else you may do here, and I know these are some pre-snap adjustments that you can make, but they're real simple here as you look at it. Another way we do show blitz, again, call QB contain, so you get that same type of pressure coming off the edge from the outside. Or you could simply do this if you want and save all that and just simply take control of them, which is what I'm going to do right here, and bring them up into that area and just take control of some other defender and then try to get some edge pressure coming off the edge from like that. So that'd be another way of running that. So those are some different quick ways you can do this out of the nickel 1-4 double mug, nickel 2 trap to get pressure without having to make a whole lot of adjustments. Now I'm going to show you a couple blitz setups that's going to bring some pressure on the quarterback, but it's going to come from somebody I haven't shown already. This blitz setup that I want to show out of the dime 1-4 double mug, nickel 2 trap is one that's going to bring some pressure on the quarterback. It's going to come from a different defender than what I've been showing. Now, rather than coming from the safety right here or from this defensive end right there as you look at your screen, it's actually going to come from this guy right here. And what we're looking for with this particular setup is to actually get some A-gap pressure. Now, I will say this, it's not always consistent. I want to let you guys know right off the bat. So if you guys are trying to run this, don't expect it to always get in, but it does get in a lot. And there's certain ways you can do it to make it a little bit more effective. So what will happen a lot of times is this center will drop back at the very end and actually pick up that blitzer as he's getting pretty close to the quarterback. Sometimes he may get picked up before that, but a lot of times that'll what's going to happen. But the idea of this is, say that guy is coming through the A-gap and he gets in here right around in that area there, and then he gets picked up at the last second by that center. Well, it doesn't really matter so much, because if your opponent was looking down the field and he sees that guy coming through that A-gap, he may end up trying to throw that ball a lot quicker. He may try to throw this ball. Maybe he tries to throw the ball to one of these guys, running these drag routes to try to beat the blitz. He might try to do something like that. But at any rate, the idea of that is to try to get him to throw the ball quicker. Now, there's some things you can do to enhance it to make it a little bit effective as far as getting to the pressure on the quarterback. I'm going to talk about that here in just a second. But to set it up, the general setup right here would be to take control of this guy right here, which is this defensive end right there, the one that we've been getting pressure on the quarterback from some of the other defenses I've shown. And then what you want to do is you can switch off to any other defender you so choose. I'm going to switch off to this guy right here, which is this linebacker right here, and see what kind of pressure we can get on the quarterback. Now, something else I want to point out here is I actually subbed in a safety here, which is faster than what the linebacker I had. This guy has like a 90 speed. So the faster you can get somebody there, the better chance you got getting pressure on the quarterback. Let's go ahead and run it and see what kind of pressure we can get on the quarterback. He actually got blocked, and that's what I was talking about earlier, even though he did fight through. But that's something that could happen right there. I just want to point that out to you. Another way to set this one up is very identical to what I just did, where I put this guy into a curl flat, such as what I'm about to show on your screen. And then you want to switch off to that, the guy that's blitzing. So this is what you're going to do here. When that ball is snapped, start pounding on the A button and try to get in a little bit quicker after the quarterback, such as what I'm about to show here. See right there? I got to the quarterback. So that's another way of running now. Now, I cannot promise that's going to work every single time. What you're trying to do is reset this again. What you're trying to do here is you're just trying to get that pressure on the quarterback. Let's do that curl flat again. And by hitting that A button, what you're trying to do is get in a little bit quicker than what you did earlier. See right there? So that'd be another way of running that particular defense. If you made it this far, hit the like button, subscribe, and get notified for our latest Madden Guides YouTube video breakdowns. The fifth and final defense that I want to show out of the dime 1-4 double mug to get pressure on the quarterback is called nickel overload 3. Now, this one, again, much like the other defense I just showed as far as the nickel 2-trap, you're still going to get pressure on the quarterback without making any pre-snap adjustments. Now, this particular defense, the pressure is going to come from the same guy, which is going to be this defensive back right there. He's going to come from the outside. There's some things we can do here in just a second. I'll show you to get that pressure on the quarterback. So right there, you can see without making any pre-snap adjustments, you can get to the quarterback. And again, some of the things you can do with this one is you can always bring him to the inside if you so choose. Try something like that and see if you can get some pressure coming off the A gap or through the A gap, but through the C gap or coming from the outside. So again, you just want to, take control of them right in this area here. Just bring them in, slide them in. It kind of tips off your hand a little bit, unless of course you scheme around some of the other zone plays in the game. And there we get some pressure from the outside. Of course, the other thing would be, which I talked about with the nickel 2-trap, is that what you can do here is the same thing here. You can call QB contain, bring him to the inside if you so choose, and do that same setup like that, and then you get that outside pressure there. So those are some things you can do. Now, this defense is also very similar as far as bringing that inside pressure that I showed earlier coming from this defender right here. We'll go ahead and take a look at it. The dime 1-4 double mug nickel overload 3 can also bring that same type of pressure, as I've already mentioned, as a nickel 2-trap as far as from this guy right here. And this setup's pretty easy because you don't have to take control of this guy to hot route him into a curl flat. In this case, he's in a seam flat. But you do need to take control of this guy right here, and you need to hot route him into something. I'm going to hot route him into the hook curl. I think that works the best with this particular defense. And then what I like to do with this particular setup, I like to bring this guy over a little bit. This is that dime back. And then I'm just going to simply look to get pressure coming from this guy here. Now, you can switch off to somebody else. I'm going to do what I did earlier, and I'm going to tap down that A button as I come in and get that pressure on the quarterback pretty quick here. See right there, I'm trying to get in there. Hopefully I'll get in there. And that's the way you can set that one up and get that same type of pressure. Now, if you don't want to, you don't have to take control of them. Let me reset this one more time here as we look at it. So we'll switch over to this guy right here and put him into that hook curl. And then we're going to slide this guy in as you look at your screen, and then we'll switch back over him. And again, you're going to do that same thing. You're going to try to use that A gap or shoot through that A gap by pressing down on that A button as fast as you can. Now, as I said before, you don't have to take control of them to get that same type of pressure, but you do have to do these kind of things I'm doing right here. And like I said, this doesn't work every single time. Let's run it one more time here, and then we'll get out of this this breakdown here as you look at it. So right there, he gets the pressure on the quarterback. All right, I'm hoping that these 5 defenses that I just showed out of the dime 1-4 double mug, as far as getting pressure on the quarterback from various setups, will help you guys with this particular defense. I actually like this particular defense. I like the Minnesota Vikings playbook. Matter of fact, this is the one that I've been running. I think this has the best, in my opinion. Some of the other guys might have your guys' opinions on what you guys like. This particular playbook is probably my favorite because there are a lot of things I can do with it. And I wanted to break these 5 down for you guys so you guys can have some, some more defenses you guys can look at that are pretty simple setups. It doesn't require a whole lot, but yet it does bring some pressure on the quarterback. To close things out, for those of you who run the dime 1-4 double mug and you guys got more suggestions from other blitz setups that you can run from this particular formation that would be better than what I'm showing, or just want to give me some feedback, post them in the comments there. Let me know what you guys think about these 5 defenses and all these blitz setups. Like I said, I'm just trying to get better. Same way for you guys. Want to get you guys better. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed the video breakdown. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment for more Madden guides, strategy, and tips content. See you in the next video.